What a scene it was at the Oscars last night when Will Smith went up to Chris Rock and pimp slapped him. Many are saying it's the craziest thing to happen in front of a nationally televised audience since Mike Tyson bit off the ear of Evander Holyfield. And Will Smith, a classic Philly guy and legend as well. But I want to ask you this before we talk some Sixers basketball. Pick a side. Whose side are you on? WS for Will Smith, CR for Chris Rock. Let me know in the comments section, and let's start today's show. Welcome in to Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Another loaded show coming your way. This is why you subscribe to the channel by hitting that red sub button down below. We start off with the injury update on James Harden. Now, Doc Rivers has said this over the weekend, but I want to get back to what he had said because James Harden the last couple of games has not looked like the James Harden who we saw the first couple of games after that monster trade. Is he hurt? And is that hamstringing his game? Doc Rivers on Harden saying this over the weekend. He's still not there, but in 3 weeks, we really feel at the time he'll be there at 100%. And James Harden has looked anything but 100% over the last 8 games and change. 22 points per game and 9 assists, which is really good. But then you look at the shooting numbers, they are not good. He's only shooting 38% from the floor and a paltry 28% from beyond the arc. And when you watch James Harden play right now, he lacks explosiveness, and we're talking about a guy who's never really been the most twitchy athlete out there. But on top of that, doesn't have any lift. He looks slow, and he's really struggling to get by even mediocre defenders. His blow-by rate in the NBA would rank him about middle tier. Just an average offensive player, and he's dribbling and dribbling and dribbling, trying to get by defenders. He was trying to do that against Devin Booker on Sunday, and Devin Booker, who's a really good defender, stood his ground, and he challenged James Harden to try to go by him and utilize the blow-by. Harden wasn't able to do that. Is it because of the hamstring injury, or are we talking about a player and evaluating a player in James Harden who, for a decade straight, logged some of the most minutes that we've ever seen over the course of NBA history, has never really worked to fine-tune his body like a LeBron James, a Tom Brady, or a Russell Wilson getting into the cryo chamber. He stays out late at night partying it up with rappers, and I don't want to hate him for that. I'm just speaking facts. And are we looking at a player who's starting to decline a little bit on top of the fact that he's never been the most athletic and quick athlete on the floor? Now, the Suns are certainly an elite defensive team. They're great at switches. They're great defending one-on-one. Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, all premier defenders in the NBA. And James Harden was having a very difficult time against that Phoenix defense, but also off the two-man game. It's like he lacks some movement off ball, and then when he has the ball on that two-man game, he's struggling to navigate around defenders. A little bit of a concerning trend. I don't want to really hit the panic button all too much as of yet, but we have a little bit of a sample size that we're monitoring here about the downward trajectory in which we've seen from James Harden and his struggles the last few games. Now, the other night against the Los Angeles Clippers, he was dominant. Him and Joel Embiid were fantastic, but really, mostly over the last several games, he has not been the same player as he was when the Sixers first acquired him by trading away Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, Seth Curry. How would you grade Harden's tenure as a Philadelphia 76er up to this point? A, B, C, D, or F? Interested to see where you're all at on that, but let me know in the comment section and get that red pen out. Also, while you're down there, make sure you hit that big red button to subscribe. We are the fastest growing Sixers channel here on YouTube, trying to get the 6,000 subs to honor the great Dr. J, Julius Irving. So go to youtube.com/76erstv or hit that red subscribe button down below. Some Sixers rumors to get to. Andre Drummond, who, as I just talked about, was traded away up I-95 to Brooklyn in that deal that brought back James Harden to Philadelphia, signed a 1-year contract in NBA free agency with Philly prior to him getting traded away. And before he did get traded, I thought he was the best backup to Joel Embiid that we've really seen since Embiid has become an all-star caliber player. And Andre Drummond was asked about his future with the Brooklyn Nets by Christian Winfield, who works for the New York Post, and he kept it a buck. He was very honest. Andre Drummond suggested it would have been foolish for the Nets to trade Nick Claxton at the deadline because, quote, if we're all being honest, I'm only here till the rest of the season. Who knows what's going to happen in the offseason, so they need a guy like Nick. Basically pointing to the fact that Andre Drummond probably not going to be playing with the Brooklyn Nets next year, so that opens up an avenue for him to return to Philadelphia, probably for more money than they originally had signed him for, because he's really improved his stock. You look at the numbers. When he was the backup for Embiid, now he's really starting games for the Brooklyn Nets. I thought he was really, really good at that backup center role. 18.5 minutes per game, 6 points per, averaging almost 9 rebounds per. He's honestly one of the best rebounding bigs that we've seen over the last 10, 20 years. I don't think that's a hyperbolic statement. He's really good on that end in that area. Shot around 54%. Now, he's not going to shoot threes at all. He's a terrible free throw shooter. But as a rim runner, as a rim protector, as a guy who's really active and a very good rebounder, he was awesome. Now, he's getting more minutes with Brooklyn. 18 up to 22. Because of that, the points per game, it's doubled. Rebounds have gone up by a single board, and the field goal percentage has gone up as well because he's getting a lot of open shot looks and putback opportunities playing alongside Kevin Durant as well as Kyrie Irving. Now, going back to my original point, I was actually pretty surprised that last NBA free agency, the Sixers were able to bring in Andre Drummond for a cheap deal. He has a really good relationship with Doc Rivers, and I think that's partially why he came to Philly from the Los Angeles Lakers. He's increased his value, though, with Brooklyn and with Philadelphia. I think he's going to get more money on the open market this free agency period, but prioritizing a backup center to Embiid is important for this basketball team because we know that Embiid sometimes gets injured. And I thought he was a great backup big for Joel Embiid, and the backup Embiid minutes are really, really important because DeAndre Jordan, as we're watching, as we're witnessing right now, is completely washed. He can't play any longer. When he's on the floor, he gets shredded on both ends, and he's really a liability. Can't shoot free throws. And I take Andre Drummond 7 times a week, and again on Sunday, over a player like DeAndre Jordan. Do you want Drummond to return? You let me know. Or is there a better backup center out there that you'd rather have the Sixers bring in? R for return, B for buy. Let me know down below. Now we're approaching April in the city of Philadelphia. Phillies baseball right around the corner. I always didn't like growing up in Westchester the April and March months because the weather was so unpredictable. It could be 75 degrees one day and sunny, beautiful. You go out for a run, you're really enjoying it, getting that vitamin D. Then the next day it's snowing and it's 35 degrees. That's why hoodies are so important in the Northeast this time of year. Also, Philly spring training going on today. Castellanos hitting bombs, Kyle Schwarber hitting bombs. You can rock this sweatshirt at a Sixers game or a Phillies game when it gets a little bit chilly. Was $70, now on sale for $52. All you have to do, use that link down below so that Fanatics knows that Chat Sports sent you. It's chatsports.com/LibertyBell. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Only a few games left in the regular season for Philly, and they have to really right the ship and figure out what type of team they are and who they are in these last 8 games. Pretty crazy to think that the playoffs are right around the corner and the regular season has really just vanished this quickly. Here's the remaining schedule for the Sixers. Really big game on Tuesday night at the Wells Fargo Center against the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll see how the Sixers stack up with one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. They round out March on the road against the Detroit Pistons, come back home on the 2nd to tip off April against the Charlotte Hornets. Another game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that you feel like Philly has played so many times following the All-Star break on the 3rd. And then the last 4 games of the regular season. On the road against Indiana, on the road against the Toronto Bullies, home against the Indiana Pacers, and then they round out the regular season on the 10th of April against the Detroit Pistons. And at that moment, we will figure out where the Sixers are at in the Eastern Conference seeding. Who will they be taking on in the first round of the NBA playoffs? And I can tell you this right now, a very good team is going to get bounced in the first round, whether it be Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Chicago, Cleveland. It's going to get really interesting in the East. Let's hope that the Sixers have a favorable matchup in round 1 and they get past that nemesis of the second round in round 2. 8 games left. How many games will the Sixers win the rest of the way? Give me their record prediction or just the total number of victories in the comments section. And make sure you give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. It's been a blast being able to grow this channel over the last several months. And here at Chat Sports, I'm not a one-way stiff. Cover the NBA, cover college football, as well as the NFL, so I can keep you up to date on all those fronts. Give me a follow at Chase_Senior. And thanks for watching today's show.